Okay, in this section we're going to be continuing with the walk cycle. So far we have added the contact and the passing positions, and now we're going to work with the up and down positions. Now in this case we're going to be placing the up and down positions in the typical positions you would see it in a walk. However, depending on the type of walk that you're doing, and especially if you're using references or you're trying to do a walk that has a lot of personality, you may find that your down and up positions are not in the exact same place as what I'm doing. And if that's the case, just keep in mind where it is. This is again for a more typical walk. So the most important one, in my opinion, of the two is the down position, because the down position is what shows weight in a walk. Something that can really go wrong with a walk is that the walk feels like the person is being held up while their feet are just flapping around underneath them. They don't seem to have pressure. They don't seem to be transferring weight. That's a really common mistake that I'll see with young animators with walks, and that can be a challenge with walks in general, no matter how long you've been doing it. So let's work on that. So your down position is typically going to be when the weight has transferred from the leg that you were on to the leg that you're moving onto. So that's going to be after the contact, and we're going to make that on the 4th frame. In this case, I'm going to, click on the first frame, hold down Shift, click on the last frame that I want to delete here, and hit the delete key. So now we have the contact, then we have the place for the down, and then we're going to have the passing. So I got to remember that the weight-bearing foot is the red foot. So I'm going to grab the red and go into legs. And I definitely want to see this. And I'm going to extend, adjust the onion skin. The first onion skin doesn't have to be so far ahead. There we go. And I'm going to extend the second one, the green one, so now I can see where I started and where I ended. And I want the other foot, the weight-bearing foot, that foot needs to be planted now, unless there's a good reason not to. Such as if the person's tiptoeing and you don't want them to have their foot down in this place. But it should at least be lowered than it was. So if you had the foot on a tiptoe, at this point, during the down position, the foot should at least be a bit lower, or the heel should be lower, even if you don't want it to touch the ground. Again, weight is transferring, so there should be pressure. Okay. And there's going to be probably the most bend that the leg's going to have. There we go. I think I'm making this foot too long. Okay. I just want to make sure I have the legs the same length. Legs same length. Okay, and that is the front leg, right? Yeah. And switching to the blue. Now the other leg can be on the tips of its toes, or it could be raising at this point. Could be right, having just started lifting off the ground. Foot looks a little deflated there. So now there is not weight on this foot. This foot is not bearing weight. Something you always got to be careful of. Where is the weight? What limb is bearing the weight? There should always be at least one limb bearing the weight at all times. If both legs are not bearing weight, then that character is in the air. That's like a jump. Or a run. A run, you can have a frame where neither leg is bearing weight. But that would be both legs in the air. They're off the ground. I think we got a short leg in here. Let's raise it up a little bit. Let's bring this foot further back. Okay, and let's move the whole thing over to the left a little bit. I want to keep the hips in the same place. The hips should just be going up and down. They shouldn't be going side to side. Okay. Then, for the other, now it can start getting a little complicated because we're going to be seeing a couple of frames. If it starts getting weird to work with, you can create another drawing layer, and I'll usually call this something like reference. Copy these legs, move them over. Actually, I'll copy the drawing of the legs. Copy the drawing, and go over here to frame 16. Paste. Let's move reference below legs. And just grab these legs. Maybe make them a different color. Okay. Turn off onion skinning. So that was the previous the previous down position. And it's the blue leg that's going to be bearing weight now. And I believe that contact position, yeah, it's not going as far. So I'm going to draw the foot, but then I'm going to move it back a little bit. There we go. Because in this previous contact, I have the blue leg not going as far as the red one did. See how there's a slight change in the X position of the foot. So just keeping that in mind. Again, the position doesn't have to be exactly the same. The pose with both legs doesn't have to be exactly the same. But it should be relatively similar. There we go. And then the red. Okay, and I'm just going to extend these. And for labels, we are at down and down. So let's see how this looks. I'm going to turn off reference. There we go, starting to look a little better. Now we need the up position. It's going to still be choppy until we add in-betweens, but it's getting a little less choppy. The choppiest parts are here, between the passing and the next contact. So in this position, during a typical march time walk, or typical walk, we're going to have the up position. So that's usually the highest point of the body. Sometimes the highest point can be during the passing, but it's not actually always at the passing position. It's usually a little bit after. So we're going to place it here. This is going to be frame 10. So on frame 10, I'm going to turn on onion skin, and it's the weight-bearing leg is the red leg, so the front leg. Okay, so that leg is going to be in between these two, and it may or may not start to go on the toes at this point. It could. If it does, we wouldn't want it to be higher than it is here in the contact position, unless there's a reason to do it. So maybe a little bit. Well, if we want to hold weight, if we want to feel heavier, then the foot can probably stay flat. Now again, don't sacrifice your proportions of your character. Make sure that they stay the same size. Legs stay the same length. Okay. There's the back leg. Alright, and let's copy this drawing and let's paste it right down here. Oh, it would help to have the reference layer on. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of those frames. And let's turn off onion skinning. There we go. And I'll select these and make them white. Or any color just to make it easiest to see your drawing on top of it. So the blue leg is now the weight-bearing leg. And the red leg is the leg that is in the air. Okay. So now let's see what it looks like with the up and down positions added. And I'm just going to call this up. Up. And I'm going to delete this reference, and let's see what it looks like. And I think this calf might be too long. Yeah, this calf is too long. So let's take this and shrink it. And we can take this and angle it down. Okay, let's see if that looks better. Yeah, something to watch out for. Do the leg lengths change? Do the feet size change? Is there up and down motion in the hips? There should be. Even if just a little, there should be some. Okay, so there we go. We've got some walking legs. So these are with all the most important positions of a walk. So the contact, the passing, the down, and the up. Again, hips should be centered. They shouldn't be wobbling back and forth. Sometimes it can help to walk the character across more naturally and then reposition so that the hips are all on top of each other. That's okay. If you decide to do that, then what you're going to want to align is the bottom of the feet on the ground and the X position of the hips. So just making sure that the hips aren't moving side to side, that they're just moving up. If you've walked the character across the stage and you want to move those parts together so that the walk is now like it's on a treadmill, and that's how you can combine it. Okay, so we have our most important positions for the walk. Is that leg the right length? This leg's a bit thicker. Okay, so I think we're good. In the next section, we're going to start adding in-betweens to smooth out the walk for our feet.